Today we are going to take a break from debating, discussing who's going to be center back for the U.S., who's going to play number 9, who's going to be goalkeeper, who's going to make the squad. We all need a break from that. Because you know what? The World Cup's going to be here before you know it. It is galloping towards us, and it is absolutely irresistible. It's coming. Less than a month to go. The days will fly by. We'll be sitting here, and all of a sudden, you'll be in front of a TV at some weird hour of the morning watching Qatar, Ecuador. I think that one's a little bit later, which is good. But the next day, you'll be getting up, maybe 2 o'clock Pacific time. Looking for a little sympathy for all those on the West Coast. Man, the Premier League's killing me this year at these early kickoffs. All the good games are at 6 a.m. I don't get up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday. I want to sleep in. Anyway, it's not about that. But today on the Soccer OG, check out the Soccer OG podcast, where all podcasts are available. Check out my pod from live at Bank of California Stadium, where I bring you all the sights and the sounds of the Clásico Angelino, El Tráfico, LAFC, and the Galaxy. It's a fun show. And coming up this week, we'll talk to Jeff Ruder of The Athletic, discuss the MLS Cup playoffs, the U.S. men's national team, and the World Cup, which is what we're talking about today. By the way, like and subscribe. Go ahead, subscribe. And please like the video. It helps us get the word out. Today, we're talking about my top 5 storylines for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. And while you're there, and while you're liking and subscribing, tell me what you're looking forward to the most. Tell me, and we can talk about it. I love to interact with you guys. Tell me what you are looking forward to the most in Qatar. The list is endless, and there's things you don't even know you're looking forward to. And this doesn't have to be something you're looking forward to. It could be something you're concerned about. I have put my list. I thought about this a long time. And I like what I came up with. So, number one, I think we all share this, right? This is the last World Cup for Lionel Messi. It's the last World Cup for Cristiano Ronaldo. Likely the last World Cup for Neymar. So the 3 big superstars of our generation, this is it. How far can they go? All 3 of these teams have the talent to potentially win it. Brazil's the odds-on favorite. Argentina is right behind them. Neymar is 30. He is surrounded by just an unbelievable group. The only issues that the Brazilian team, which is some reason, I don't know why, is fullbacks, which is usually a strength, but they just don't have the greatest fullbacks. They have some unproven fullbacks, but everything else is incredible. Depth, talent for days. There's superstar players like a Bruno Guimaraes, who might be the best player in the Premier League, and he won't make that Brazil team. That's right. He might be the best, won't make Brazil. I'm a little worried about Brazil because they famously fall out of the World Cup. We all know about 7-1 Germany in 2014. Even 4 years ago, the way they lost to Belgium was like, it was just, whimper. And we've seen it every time since they last won it in 2002. They kind of get knocked out, and they have bad days. The 98 final against France, they have bad. So everyone's picking Brazil. I'll probably end up picking Brazil. But I'm a little worried because of the history. Because guess what? I've picked Brazil in the past and I got burnt. I believe I picked them in 2018. And I believe I picked them in 2014. Argentina, I feel better about. Lionel Messi has bought into what Lionel Scaloni is doing. By the way, Brazil and Argentina, they haven't lost to anybody except each other. Remember that one game postponed. So really this one game in the Copa America and one qualifier. They've ripped through everyone in their path. But Argentina, with Lionel Scaloni, could really be one of the big stars of this World Cup because he's got Lionel Messi to buy in on a team. He has other good attacking options like Lautaro Martinez and Angel Di Maria and obviously Papu Gomez. They have a great defender now, Lisandro Martinez, who, along with Emi Martinez as well, you have that engine room of Paredes or Lo Celso and De Paul right behind Messi. And they're a well-oiled machine. Argentina's in Group C with Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Poland. They should cruise there. Brazil's in Group G with Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. That's going to be a little more challenging. But they should win. And if Brazil and Argentina win their groups as expected, they would meet in the semifinal. So that's one of them out at the hands of the other. Then you have Portugal, who lost to Serbia and had to go through the playoffs, got through the playoffs. And then Cristiano Ronaldo, who it's all been bad optics for him lately. Manchester United walking off the field. Ten Hag saying, we don't want him, essentially. And now they're trying to unload him. So it's a Very unceremonious. The drop for Ronaldo was so rapid. It just shows you these guys you idolize that are the best player in the world maybe 2 years ago now are like the 1,000th best player in the world. I'm not kidding you. So it hits you hard. But Portugal are loaded. And Cristiano Ronaldo will have João Felix and doesn't have Diogo Jota, who's injured. We got Bruno Fernandes, Renato Sanchez, João Cancelo, maybe the best fullback in the competition. Rafael Leao is going to be there. So this is a very strong Portugal team that I wouldn't underestimate. It'd be interesting how Cristiano Ronaldo settles in because he hasn't immersed the way Messi has. And which is so surprising because in years past it was Messi and the rest of the team and there was such a big disconnect. But this group, they love Messi and they work so hard for him. So I'd put it Messi 1, Neymar 2, Ronaldo 3. But all three of them are there. We almost lost Ronaldo in the qualifiers, but he's there. Let's go. Lots of star power. And then you have the next group of stars coming out too. My number 2 storyline is, will a team from outside of Europe or South America win a World Cup, reach a final, or reach a semifinal? This is the 22nd World Cup. Europe and South America are the only teams that have won it. In fact, they're the only ones to have reached a final. And Europe has won the last 4 World Cups. So it's kind of felt very UEFA-y. I can answer the part of this question. Can a team outside of CONMEBOL or UEFA win the World Cup? No. Can they make a final? No. Semifinal? Maybe, because it's happened before. Not a lot. You have to go back 20 years when South Korea made the semifinals. In that 2002 World Cup, where we almost had a real topsy-turvy competition. USA should have made the semifinals. Hugh Dallas, I'm talking to you. Handball on the line. Torsten Frings. It still haunts me. So USA should have been in the semifinal. Senegal lost in penalties to Turkey, who were a surprise. So Senegal could have been USA, South Korea, Senegal, and Brazil. Other than that, some teams make the quarterfinals, but they get close. You know, Cameroon in 1990 made the quarterfinals, were up on England. I think they were up 2 goals, fell short. There has been Costa Rica losing the penalties to the Dutch in 2014. So it happened more a while back. It feels like the bigger powers have kind of seized control of this competition in recent years. If there's a team out there, look at the FIFA rankings, right? And normally we pass off the FIFA rankings because they didn't make a lot of sense. But they make more sense these days. You look at the rankings, you go, yeah, that's about right. The analytics, the data that goes into it is a little more sensical. So Mexico's at number 13. That's the highest ranked non-South America European team. I wouldn't underestimate Mexico. Yes, Tata Martino's not getting the most of them. They have injury issues. They can't score goals. But it's still Mexico, and when you least expect it, you know they can do it. It's Mexico. You know, it's a huge country that soccer is king. One of these days, the things will fall in line. So maybe here. USA is 16th. I think they can, I don't know how far they can go. It's going to be a tough side of their bracket. Senegal's 18, and that's the one that intrigues me. Iran is 20th, Morocco 22, Japan 24. So those are the 6 teams in the top 24 that aren't from Europe or South America. Senegal in a group that they can win, Group A with Qatar, Ecuador, and the Netherlands. Had a good World Cup 4 years ago, and now they have that group still there and have some good young talent coming in. I could see them make a semifinal. They would have to win that group. But that's a team with good pedigree in these World Cups. 4 years ago, 2002, Senegal, they beat France in the 0-2 opener. This is a pipeline of talent. The other African teams, I don't really like how it looks. So I like Morocco, but that group looks, they've just not done it for me. Since maybe a Middle Eastern team, it would be great to see, as this is the first Middle Eastern World Cup. But Senegal would be my pick at this moment. And that segues me into my number 3 on the list. How will a Winter World Cup in the Middle East look like? We have things that are going to happen here that we haven't had in any World Cup. The close proximity. Everything's in Doha. Every team can stay in their same hotel. You don't have to jump on a plane. It's going to be a very intimate setting. You're going to see opponents, fan bases. Everyone's going to be very close. Stadiums. air conditioned. We know it's hot in Qatar, but remember, this is the winter. So if it was in the summer, it's a different story. But in November, the average temperature is 84. December, it's 75. With the air conditioning, we're expecting very fast fields. I don't know how that's going to look like. I would imagine the teams that are technically gifted will have an edge. What about the rules and regulations of Qatar, right? The lists that have come out, that you have no public affection, sexes and drunkenness are two things you really can't, you have to abstain from. But I got some bad news. Someone's going to put their foot in it. One of the players, someone's going to have sex. He shouldn't be. Get caught. Or going to be drunk. I hope it doesn't happen, but it usually does. So younger teams may be a problem. Don't look at the U.S. We had that Weston McKennie issue. Don't look at the U.S. But young teams, veteran teams are going to be better suited, right? You would think. But all this comes into play, and it's going to be overwhelming. And I just don't know how it's going to look like for the field. But I think experience certainly will matter in the big picture. So while I'm trying to say that some countries off the grid might have a World Cup, I contradict myself by saying veteran European teams with organization probably have an edge because it's Qatar. How will these Middle Eastern teams fare? Coming from close, Iran just across the Persian Gulf, all these things, the Saudis. Some of the African teams aren't that far. So the Middle East is going to be a big story. How some of the controversies, the human rights violations come into play. That's going to come up, and that will come up at some point. Although we've heard that Fox doesn't really want to cover it. It's going to pop up because you'd be irresponsible not to. So all this kind of is going to balance the competition in an odd way. But we're here for it. Qatar is going to be a big star, or it's going to be a major player, I should say, in this World Cup, whether you like it or not. I just don't know what that's going to look like. Number 4 on my list is, what are the feel-good stories going to be? We really don't know until it starts. Things develop. Everyone wants to see Lionel Messi. I guess that's a feel-good story. But we already see it coming. So, something like the little engine that could kind of thing. And when I process things, the one that comes to mind that's already there is Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen, 18 months ago, we watched the Euros, Denmark playing Finland. We all watched that live and thought we saw him die. He was being resuscitated. We were all sitting there looking at the screens going, this isn't happening. One of the biggest stars in the world is dying before our eyes. He was resuscitated. He recovered. But then we said he wouldn't come back to playing football, but he did. Came to Brentford. Now he's moved to Manchester United. Rejoined the Danish national team where he's very important. And now this is a story that hasn't been talked about, but I'm talking about it now. This would be overwhelming. And it's not far-fetched. Denmark's highly ranked. They beat the French recently. They have the French number, and they're in the same group as France, Group D with Australia and Tunisia. I watched the most recent game where the Danes beat the French, and Eriksen was the best player on the field, hitting balls here, and he's got great collaborators with him on that Danish team. So Christian Eriksen is the feel-good story. Can Denmark, how far can they go? Probably can't win it, but can they make a semi? You bet. They made the European semis, and that's almost as competitive as this World Cup when you look at the teams that they had to play. And they started with their star player, heart-stopping, and losing to Finland. And they recovered. So I'm very keen on seeing that. Yeah, I just can't believe it. I can't believe he's playing at this level again. I thought he would never, I really thought, okay, he won't play again. So there it is. There'll be other stories, but Christian Eriksen at the top of the list. Finally, who will be the young stars to emerge? That always happens. And then what happens at the World Cup, we follow that person. They become a household name and make millions and millions of dollars. Who can forget James Rodriguez? He hasn't turned into the great star, but he owned 2014. Everybody wanted a piece of James, dancing with the little cumbia, with the Colombianos. That was amazing. Kylian Mbappe, to a lesser degree in 2018, he was already a star, but he cemented himself as a superstar. There are some good ones here in Qatar. I mean, generally, teenagers, 20, 21, don't get into the main fabric of these national teams. It's a more experienced group, but there are some good examples here. I would look at Spain, because Spain has turned the keys over to a younger group, and they have Gavi, who's 18, and Pedri, who's 19. Gavi took a really nasty injury this weekend where, he got smashed in the groin. It's an injury I wouldn't wish upon anyone, but I don't have any news on it. I believe he's going to recover for the World Cup. Hopefully he recovers for next weekend. But Gavi and Pedri are going to hold the keys for that creative part, that building up part in the midfield as well for Spain, who have a chance to win this. Alphonso Davies, he's just 21. I think Canada has a real good chance to get out of that group with Croatia, Morocco, and Belgium. Alphonso Davies plays at Bayern, so we know he's a big star, but when he doesn't play in the Premier League or La Liga, we don't watch the Bundesliga as much. So this is a chance for Alphonso Davies, 4 years ahead of a North American World Cup, to show exactly what he has. The English have good young players coming through. We knew it was going to be a conveyor belt, and they're going to be pushing that starting group that made a World Cup semi and a Euro final. Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden. England certainly has those guys that will be influential. If you're looking for someone off the beaten path, how about Pape Matar? Senegalese, very statuesque midfielder, just beautiful player to watch. Part of that Senegalese team that, as I said, could make a breakthrough. And I think he'll play. The Canadians have a lot of good young players, so that could really be a story that develops. Rafael Leao. And then Vinicius. Vinicius is the player, to me, that can go from star to superstar in this World Cup. The top line of superstars in this sport right now says Haaland, Mbappe. And I think Vinicius can get on that top line with these guys. 22, score some goals for Brazil. If he could lift the World Cup, there you go. This is so much fun. I'm glad. This was very... I got it off my chest a bit. This was nice to talk to you. What are you looking forward to or least looking forward to at the World Cup? Drop me a note. Check out the Soccer OG podcast or leave a comment in the section. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. Like and subscribe us here. We'll be back next week to take a closer look at the teams from CONCACAF and see what they will do in Qatar in November/December.